Almost every country in the world is in debt. The United States' debt has surpassed $38 trillion, and the situations of the European Union and Japan aren't very different. Even oil-rich or export powerhouse countries carry significant debt. Naturally, this raises a question. If everyone is in debt, who is paying whom? The interesting part is this. The system isn't as simple as it seems. Debt isn't just a burden. It's one of the fundamental building blocks that determines how the modern world functions. The economic crises we experience today, periods of growth, and even wars are, in some way, built on this debt system. Let's go back a bit. In the 1600s, while England was at war, it ran out of money and borrowed from merchants. In return, it promised, "I will collect taxes in the future and repay you with interest." This was a critical turning point because, for the first time, a state began spending money it didn't yet have. This is how what we now call government bonds were born. Over time, other countries adopted the same method. Borrowing was no longer seen as a bad thing. On the contrary, it became a sign of strength. Because if you can borrow, it means people trust you. Today, the system has grown even larger. Countries lend to each other, banks get involved, central banks print money. And most interestingly, all of us are part of this system. We pay taxes, we save money, we invest in pension funds. So whether we realize it or not, we are both debtors and creditors. Take the U.S. debt, for example. A large portion of it is actually owed to Americans themselves. Banks, funds, and even the central bank hold this debt. In a way, the country owes money to itself. Yes, countries like China hold a share, but it's a relatively small portion of the total. This situation isn't unique to the U.S. Around the world, countries lend to each other, that debt moves elsewhere, and then eventually circles back. It's a full cycle, almost like a table where everyone owes everyone else. But here's the critical point. This system is built on trust. Everyone believes that these debts will be repaid. In reality, the principal is often never fully paid off. Instead, the debt is continuously rolled over. Old debt is closed and new debt takes its place. Governments don't actually plan to eliminate their debt entirely. That's simply how the system works. Debt functions like a constantly turning wheel. So what's the problem? The problem is that this system doesn't benefit everyone equally. The interest generated from debt usually flows to large institutions and investors. In other words, while the system strengthens those who already have money, it can increase the burden on others. And the most sensitive point is this: everything depends on trust. If people start to believe that these debts will never be repaid, the system could be seriously shaken. In short, the world is living within one massive debt cycle. Everyone is both a debtor and a creditor. As long as the system functions, everything seems fine. But if the balance is disrupted, things could quickly become very complicated. So debt isn't just an economic issue, it's actually a fundamental part of a vast system that affects all of our lives.